Okay, well, obviously we didn't play a good enough football game to keep us in this thing. A couple of things that I talked about early on about when you're going to play this Georgia Tech team that is tops in the country in terms of times of possession is that when you get your possessions, you have to make sure that your opportunities to score count as well. They got up on us early, and and they made big plays on us, and you just can't come from behind and try to think that you're going to surpass a team that has such a prolific ground attack, but at the same time, you're dropping passes, you're having penalties or whatever it might be. You're non-productive when you have the ball yourself. So, again, that's a good football team. They're a very good football team, and they have their formula for success. And so, we have to do better. It doesn't get any easier for us. We're going to get ready to go down to Tallahassee and play Florida State. But, we got to leave from this place, understanding that, when you get down in the red zone, you got to score touchdowns. Got to minimize mistakes, defensively as far as assignment. This is an assignment-oriented football game. And obviously there was more than a couple that we didn't do our jobs. Questions?
You talked about them getting up early. Is that maybe why it seems like they banned the running game a little bit?
Well, a little bit. That had something to do with it, but again, you want to try to move the ball, and I believe in their possessions. They were averaging a lot of time their possession. Matter of fact, when we started the third quarter, I think it was a 7-minute drive. So, when you have your possessions, you have to make sure that you have opportunities to move and get yourself in scoring position, and we just didn't do that today.
Mike, they're the 93rd ranked team in the country in rushing defense, I think. You had 16 carries today. Why didn't you run the ball more?
Like I just said, you're down 14-0 early like that, then you got to find plays to move the ball and be productive. And we weren't productive early enough, often enough, and end up basically towards the latter part of the second quarter trying to move the ball. And again, we didn't do a good enough job.
Had a chance to make it a one-touchdown game in the first half, and Deion fell in the end zone or dropped the pass, ended up having to take the field goal. How big of a play would that have been at that time?
Well,
Get back in?
that's the whole part of this, the red zone opportunities to score, and I believe it's 17-21 at that point if we make the catch, and so it's frustrating. The guy feels bad about it, but again, you got to have those plays, you got to make those plays, if you're gonna keep yourself in a football game.
Mike, you're down the fourth down call, Lambert's interception end zone. You're down 18. You need 2 touchdowns and a field goal to tie the game, get back in the game. Just take me through the decision making to go for it on fourth down rather than kick the field goal.
As I said, their time of possession was grinding up the clock pretty good, and so we just felt that our chances to score, we better take our chances to score now because they were doing a good job of moving the ball, and we weren't stopping them like we needed to.
Did you think they were picking on Maurice at all? Seemed like he had some trouble early against their taller receivers.
I don't know if they were that they were picking on Maurice. I know number 88 is a tall receiver, 6'5", 6'6 plus, and they just utilized a matchup that they thought he could go up and get the ball, and it worked out for them. Maurice is arguably our best corner, and they got the best of him today.
Like on the fourth down try for them, first possession, second half. Did you not think there was an angle there? You choose not to challenge on the spot there.
From where I was standing, I thought it was short, but again, the official said forward progress. He marked for forward progress. It was hard to tell.
I think you scored 6 points in the second half the last 4 games. I think you had 32 yards the entire second half today. What are teams just adjusting better than you? How do you explain just the lack of offense in the second half?
It's the lack of execution, number one, the lack of performance, because it doesn't lead to any production, and that's a critical part if you're going to move on and move forward, particularly in the second, third, fourth quarters. We got to do a better job of that.
Did your defense do anything differently after that? It seemed like they held up relatively well after the early portions of the game.
Well, there were some nice things that we did do. I mean, there's no solace in the fact that they were 100 less yards rushing than they've been averaging, but they won the football game and they scored a lot of points on us. So there were some adjustments that were made, but at the same time they weren't enough of adjustments that would eliminate those big plays and a lot of second and shorts, those type of things. So again, that's we got to do a better job on that.
We asked you this, like, how do you get this team back on track? I mean, obviously this is the previous 2 years you've sort of gone on long losing streaks, and now it's 3 in a row. How do you get this team back on track?
Well, you keep challenging them. You got to coach them up. You got to make sure that nobody's hanging their head. These are good football teams we're playing. If you want to be in that type of conversation, you got to win games like this. You got to be competitive in games like this. So, again, 3 games left on the schedule. You're going to have to be competitive. There's still good football teams. There's a lot of football left to play, and so we challenge them with that, and then we move forward.
The switch in quarterbacks, I guess the game was a little bit out of reach at that point. Was that mostly to get a look at Matt or keep him groomed, or did you feel like Grayson had kind of done as well as he could have done?
No, I mean, Matt, had an opportunity to go in. I felt that was the right time to do that. He had come in the UCLA game kind of in a similar situation, and again, have that many drops and those turnovers like that. I mean, that's it doesn't help your offense regardless.